Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining and watching the latest episode of the What's Halperning podcast. Today, I'm super excited. I've got my really good friend, Joel Coen, joining us. Joel is a dad. He's a husband. He's an entrepreneur. He's a CEO, and he's, quite frankly, one of my best friends. So thank you so much for coming today,
Super
sir.
Excited, man. Yeah, this is going to be fun for sure.
Yeah.
I've been looking forward to this for too long.
Well, dude, we always struggle so much to find stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
It's like, if I tell
Right.
Beth, if I'm like, hey, I'm meeting Joel, we're going to talk some business or whatever. She's like, see you in 8 hours.
Right.
She's
Absolutely.
like, wherever you start, that's definitely not where you're ending.
It's a time warp for sure. But we cover a lot of bases pretty quick.
We do.
Which I think will help the listeners today.
Yeah, I hope so.
There's literally no idea where we're going today.
No,
None.
we never have it.
Right.
I mean, that's honestly the purpose of this podcast. The purpose, when I thought about it, was to bring the conversations that I have on a daily basis out. Because like there will be something, we'll talk about something like, oh man, so-and-so should have heard that. Or, oh my God, the world needs to hear that or whatever. So like everyone that I interact with, I feel like it's an exchange. Like I learn, they learn. Like it's so good. And like there's always a nugget that's like, oh, if like people could hear that, it'd be great. And so literally I'm just taking the conversations, man. Like you and I, we've been friends for, I don't know, how many, 5 years?
Coming up on it, yeah. 5, 6
Coming
years.
up on 5 years. We met through the Men's Arts Council.
Yep.
And then we started doing business together, a year and a half ago?
Yep. Coming up on 2 years in October.
Okay. So
you were my first client.
I love that so much.
So
I
great.
think that story is actually really cool. Like, and it's entrepreneurial and whatever. And that's really how we knew each other.
Mm-hmm.
But like, that's where like our friendship really started. And also working together really started. And do you remember that, dude? I was actually thinking about that. Like I for everyone, we'll tell the little story. Cause I think it's so fun. It's life. It's entrepreneurial. It's, I don't know. I just think it was cool. I literally called you. For those that don't know, Joel, True North Advisors is literally a virtual CMO. It's like they are your chief marketing officer, driving your marketing side of things. And that's what I've engaged you for. But at the time, you were part of a really big advertising firm, and we're doing big things for big companies.
Mm-hmm.
And I called you, or I think I texted you. That's what it was. Sent you a text. Hey, dude, would your agency swim downstream to little old me?
Mm-hmm.
And your response was, interesting. We need to discuss this over whiskeys. And I'm like, oh, where's he going with this? And that's where we sat down and we had a couple drinks, and you're like, dude, I'm out. I'm leaving the company. Yeah. And then you were gonna go work at a big company. Yeah. We sat down and had a talk. Like I was just like, why would you, with everyone that you know, with everything that you do know and everyone that you know, like you could get something rocking on your own. And you were like, well, I can take this job in New Jersey and make a couple $100,000 a year, and then I'm just gonna die. Like that's what you said, dude.
Yeah, I mean,
I was like, don't do that.
It was so depressing because coming out of this scenario itself, I mean, I had built something over 5 years with a group of people that I felt really passionate about, and then it was gone, and it was just there was depression prior to, but there was depression then. And it's like I don't have the energy in me. I don't have it. I'm just gonna go do what everybody else does. Yep. And here you came in, and we had this conversation, and it's literally like a top 10 moment for me in my life, where it's just like it clicked, and I was like, he's right. I've got to focus. I know that I can make this work. I've got the reputation. I think we can move forward with this. Yeah. And looking back at it, and I mean, just thinking about not only that conversation, but just what has happened since then, it's bonkers.
Life-changing.
It's so, I mean, life-defining, maybe even more than changing. It is an incredible moment where then I got to create something now that is mine, and life has just flourished.
I love it, man. That creation, that self-realization, self-actualization. I mean, you've always been entrepreneurial. You've always done stuff. But this, like, you fully stepped out, stepped into your own, created something, and it has grown, like, tremendously.
Absolutely. And I think that, one of the funny things was that when I was in the prior job that I had, or however we want to describe that, it was, you cannot work with friends. You cannot work with people that you know. You have to keep them at arm's length. And, what's fascinating about the last several years is that my best clients are some of my best friends.
Isn't that crazy?
And it hasn't caused Has there been any issue?
Never.
There's never any
because
problem.
we're not going to let it.
Right.
And I think, you entered that world of working with friends. My entire world is around that.
Right.
Like working with friends, family, the referrals. That's exactly what I do. And yeah, like there's a saying that I bring up a lot, and it's only as awkward as you make it. Right. Things
Absolutely.
can go sideways. Listen, things rarely go to plan. And so you guys just have to be able to look each other in the eye and have a discussion about it, not get mad or, feel like someone is being wronged or whatever. It's like, it's communicating, and it's communication like with gusto, right?
Right.
Dude, because it means more because we're friends, not just because we have a business relationship.
Well, I think it even makes it almost better in some cases to work with your friends, because you really get to find out who somebody is.
Well, you get to really find out if they're truly your friend.
Absolutely. Because it's, and are they who they have projected to be as that friend? When I first came to Arizona, I started working with one of my best friends from childhood, and very soon, within 6 months, found out that he was doing things that he shouldn't be doing on our dime. And it was sad. It was frustrating, but it let me know, like, you know what, this is giving me light into who that individual is.
Right.
And so it's time to move on and do it. But it will never detract me from being able to make a change in your life,
right,
and to be able to grow something together, because there's a whole lot of energy and just flat out relational equity that goes into that.
Yeah.
And frankly, the impact that I get to help make on your business puts me to sleep at night, where I'm like, I helped my friend today.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if I don't do that, absolutely, it's going to cause a problem. If I didn't produce for you at some point, you'd be like, hey, bro, it's not working out.
Well, dude, and if you felt like it wasn't working, you to your point, you're able to sleep at night because you feel like you're putting your effort in. It's going places. It's working well. If you didn't feel that way, or you didn't feel it was going right, you wouldn't sleep.
Right.
And that's the same with me. I mean, I tell clients that all the time. Like, I'll wake up in the middle of the night and something will hit, and it's like, God, that's not sitting right. Well, we need to address that. There's something going on in that deal, or the way that went down wasn't right. Like, we need to work through it, or I need to work through it. Sometimes it's just like recentering where I'm coming from, whatever. But if it's not going to plan and it's not going swimmingly, especially when you're working with people that friends, family, all that sort of stuff, like, you darn well better reconcile it.
Well, what's fascinating to me is just overall that let's remove the friend situation out of it. If things aren't going well and you've done everything that you possibly can to try and make the situation right, it's funny to me how many people just keep going after it, keep trying, whatever. I got to keep the client. I've got to keep the client.
Right.
If you've gone beyond and done the absolute best that you can do for somebody, and it's not working, then in my mind, I will back away and say, I can't do this. Like, I'm obviously not making it work for you.
Yeah.
So let me try to connect you with somebody that can.
Right.
And move on, because it's not right to take money from people if you're not going to perform.
It's like a personal relationship. It's like dating. Once you realize, like, gosh, this isn't going well. Like, what I'm doing isn't working. What you're doing isn't working. And instead of dragging the other person along, I mean, you're dragging yourself down as you're dragging them down. Like, you just got to cut them loose. Hey, there's no future in it. Like, see ya.
Well, and it makes me wonder, for people that are providing a service and just suck, what do they think when they go to sleep? Like, what do they, what
Dude,
runs through their minds?
Right.
Because I can't do that.
Well, do they know they suck? Or do they think they're great?
I think they're trying to survive, maybe.
Probably.
Where it's like, it's so, in my business, and honest, I mean, in your business, a lot of it's fake it till you make it.
Mm-hmm.
How many people do I know that are real estate agents?
Well, there are like 90,000 licensees in the state of Arizona.
Everybody.
Yeah, right?
Every time I turn around, I'm getting email from so-and-so, or I'm getting a letter in the mail. On the way over here, I got texted, my name's Brian, and I'm buying houses. And it's just
cool, Brian.
Yeah, it's nice to
my
meet
name's
you,
Joel.
Brian.
I'm not telling anybody. Yeah, it's really a pleasure.
But to that point, there's a certain amount of, I just wonder, it's how everybody's got to get out there. You got to make a living. You got to do what you got to do. But how awesome is it that we actually get to do what we want to do in many cases?
Yeah.
And when you combine two people that are actually passionate about what they're doing, it's been fun to watch what happens.
Dude, it's so fun. And not even just two people, right? Like when you break down my little microcosm, dude, me and you obviously connect. We're friends. Our friendship has grown. We've learned from each other in business, the whole thing. Like it's one of those positive, it just grows on itself. And then you bring that together with like the other people that I have on my marketing team. Like,
right.
Like Christina's been with me for 7 years, 8 years.
Right.
Right. Bringing Holly into the mix, who was in that chair the last episode, in watching as everyone gets to be creative and provide input and bring best ideas to the table. And then watching as like this melding, this machine came together, like what the strategic side of it you've been able to import on the business is so cool. And like, I think it's worthy of talking about, like the way you look at things and the analytical approach. Like you can come to me and go, hey, these 3 or 4 searches are way up in relationship to Arizona and real estate in Arizona or real estate in Phoenix. This one's up 600%. This one's up 1,700%. Can't shake this one. It's like, It's everywhere. Everyone is asking this question. And so from there, we decide which ones I have expertise on. We write a blog about it. And then Holly takes that blog and pitches it out to media outlets, and they'll pick it up. And thus it raises our visibility out there in SEO land.
Right.
It makes like more people are able to organically connect with us. And it's just amazing to see the stuff in progress. Like, and the speed with which you're like, hey bro, when the blog topics come, like I need you to really get on them. And I'm like, understood, man. I get it. Like it all really is very quick. It's fleeting. Every 2 weeks when we have that marketing meeting, that call, which is our data call in our planning session. When we have that one, it's always like, hey man, like these are up during this period of time.
Well, and what's amazing to me is that I've learned a component of it in that Holly is an essential part of my SEO strategy moving forward. Right?
She has to be.
Not just
what
for
a differentiator.
Guys, but she instantly, like today, I mean, last week, MSN. I mean, you have an article on MSN right now. That's crazy. And then you're on the front page of AZ Big Media consistently.
It's crazy.
Because that's what people are looking for. So AZ Big Media is not going to keep positioning you as the number one story when you're going out, unless it's what people want and it's what they're clicking on and whatever.
Give the people what they want.
That's exactly what you're doing.
It's crazy.
You're doing it. And people are just responding to that. And it's what a differentiator, right?
Yeah.
In your business,
dude, it's unreal. I mean, it literally is approaching it exactly, giving the people what they want. They're searching for something. We're giving them something. We're not just like placating. We feel like we're really giving value.
Absolutely.
We feel like we're adding to the conversation. We enjoy doing this. We take this super seriously. Yeah. We edit the heck out of these things before they go. We make sure that we can speak to them effectively and intelligently. There are times where you'll bring up a topic and I'll be like, dude, I know nothing about that. Like, sorry. And I don't want to like study it and then just kind of half know it. Like we talk about stuff that like in my sleep, Beth probably hears me talk about. Right.
Yeah.
But you know, what's crazy is like the expertise that you have built over the years to be able to like, boom, here it is. Not everyone can do that. Not everyone can read the tea leaves. So everyone, Joel Coen, JC, we call you Joel Coen Data Christ, JCDC.
I have that URL
now. Yeah, you should.
I do. Yeah.
I'm glad you do. So JCDC, Joel Coen Data Christ. You read the data like it's the Matrix, man. Like, how have you built your expertise? What has driven you in that?
It's a funny question that you're asking, because I was just talking to a client yesterday. We had lunch and we were talking about math for whatever reason. Like here we are having a math conversation. And she, my son is, he's in Calculus 2 next semester. And like, that's where I was never there, right?
They didn't let me anywhere near that.
And so we were just talking about, how well we did in math and English and other things. And I'm like, I just never got into math, but statistics, I always could do well with that, even though it was the same types of equations and other things. Like I could parse through equations in statistics very easily. And for whatever reason, when I see analytics and when I see other things, I can very quickly draw conclusions that I don't think a lot of other people do.
Yeah.
But I look at it very differently. And here's an example of this. Almost every single person out there that has a marketing staff, I can almost guarantee you are presenting impressions, clicks, and high-level metrics to say, look at how much exposure we're getting. We're killing it. It's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But there's not one that's speaking to conversion in a lot of cases.
Mm-hmm.
When I say they're not looking at phone calls, form fills, and then the story of kind of how that happens. Right? In your case, we have phone calls that happen. And when that happens, there's a trigger that takes place that tells me, here's what they interacted with. Here's what went well and here's what didn't.
Yep.
It's not any one piece of what we did that created that call to take place. It was the article. It was the email. It was, there's this multi-channel funnel that came together to produce this. And here's what it cost us to do that.
It's amazing. You call that the Omnichannel.
Yeah, well,
it's everywhere.
Yeah, it's and understanding it's critical, because when you and I first started working together, I will never forget a call we were on, and we were talking with someone, and they said, "Well, man, if you've got the magic bullet, I've got tons of clients for you." There is no magic bullet.
Newsflash.
None.
Yeah.
If you're going to compete like you are with 90,000 other people in your industry.
Well, and with Zillow and with all of these companies that dump tens of millions into each marketplace.
Right. And you're dealing, and not only that, the diversity of your industry in the sense of you're dealing with home buyers all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it has been upended in so many different cases, and you're thriving. Right,
dude. It is that omnichannel. It's touching. It's making sure that we're out there. It's making sure that that we're able to share some successes and show some expertise, and that really helps with being a network-based guy. You know, my clients being able to be like, oh, they're, saw them here, or like, I can't get away from you in the nicest way, hopefully, right? But like that repetition, like I always say, as a network-based guy, you never know if you hadn't sent that mailer, whether you would have been top of mind when they were at lunch with their buddy who was thinking about buying, right? Or selling, or whatever the case may be.
Yep.
And so it's like, be pleasantly persistent without getting too crazy. And like the mix that we've got, the way the stuff is delivered, the organic nature of it fits with exactly what I do. And dude, one of the struggles that's so interesting is, and I read this in, it's like that little marketing book, the like Bible of marketing. Guy with the glasses wrote it.
Steve Jobs.
This is marketing. Steve Jobs, the guy with the collar, the guy with the turtleneck. This is marketing anyway. It's like whatever. But it's talking about, if you were going to be like, if you're going to buy leads type thing, watch every penny, manage every penny, know where everything is going, know what your return on that penny is. If you are a network-based person and you want to extend your network of conversations, he's just like, spend the money and have faith and don't look at analytics because you're going to go crazy. And you've got like this blend, right? You know that my business is network-based stuff, not necessarily the net new, although it's wonderful when those come along too. But it's really to just stay top of mind. But you're also delivering the analytics that we can look at, that we can understand, that we can see, we can get that view on where the money is going. But we all understand, hey, this is to just grow the business in a really comfortable, steady way.
Right. Absolutely. And again, it all comes down to the fact that there's not any flip that somebody can switch to make something happen.
Right.
Real estate and real estate agents in particular are like one of the most interesting marketing areas for me overall.
Explain why.
Because everybody spends a certain amount typically, right? And they're all spending it on the same thing. So let's just take lead buying services, right? Yeah. So you're going to spend $50 a lead to get somebody that's looking for a home, whether it's from Zillow or Redfin or whatever it may be. But then you've got 10 other people that are probably doing the same exact thing, right?
Right.
Or you can spend more and have a sole source lead come through to you from Zillow or whatever else it may be. And if you get the sole source lead, you better close that lead.
Right.
You better close it. But if you're one of the 10 other guys that everybody's spending $50 to get that one lead, I just see everybody pitching like $400 or $500 a month into their marketing,
right?
And they've got all these marketing channels and all these different groups, and they're selling SEO and they're selling this. There are 90,000 of you. There's only 10 of you that are going to be positioned in the top 10 for what you're wanting to do in that area of Google. That's just so critical.
Yeah.
If you're using all the same tools that everybody else is, how are you going to get there?
You look exactly like everyone else.
You have to be different.
Yeah.
It is the, if you haven't read Blue Ocean Strategy.
You've talked to me about this.
Yeah, it is.
That'll be my next book because I'm about wrapped up with my morning book.
Don't do what everybody else is doing. Mm-hmm. And again, you're such a saturated industry overall that it's key for you guys to consistently do that. Yep. And you don't. I mean, you are
And don't do what other people do. As Brian North talks about, find the empty parking space.
Right.
Where are people not?
Yep. Compete where competition isn't and the people are.
Yep.
And sometimes that means we have to dig deep to like find where those crevices and cracks are, where there's not competition, but we find them.
We find them, and we've been working at it and refining it for a year and a half.
Yeah.
And the other complexities with real estate, and you know this far better than I do, the restrictions on how we can even do advertising on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on Facebook, on Google. We are highly restricted because of fair housing laws. We really can't get very specific in some of the targeting metrics.
And what's fascinating is that I wonder how many agents are out there spending money like thinking they're getting targeting and they just aren't.
I bet it's huge.
I bet it's huge because I see it sold all over the place.
Yeah.
Target the people that you want in the areas that you want. We only get certain demographics.
Right.
You literally can't. Like if you go into Facebook to place an ad and you're set up as a real estate agent and you try to get it positioned out there without adhering to the Fair Housing Act, they will not allow you to produce the ad.
Right. It has to like funnel down through all of this stuff
right.
for the ad to even go. And so knowing that and being aware of it allows you to develop a strategy around being curtailed in what you can do. But that's where just trial and error and adjustment, and you again reading the matrix, reading the tea leaves in front of you, being able to say, hey, maybe we try this, let's try that, let's do this, let's do that. And everything we're doing is obviously compliant with fair housing because the systems, to your point, don't let us do it. But we're able to fill those voids and find those cracks. And part of that mix is exactly what we were talking about earlier. You saying this is what the people want, us producing what the people want, and Holly making sure the people are getting what they want.
Yeah, that they can see it.
Yeah.
Right. And it's an amazing mix, that's working for you guys, but also, I'm starting to see it work for much, large companies.
Bigger than me?
Bigger than you, man.
No.
Barely.
God, you barely, yeah, right.
I wonder, it makes me fall back and think about how many people pay for things that they just don't know what they are.
Dude, one of my jokes is I want to write a book called 1,001 Ways to Spend Money in Real Estate. And number like 998 is like, you bought this book, you dummy. Like, yeah, like there are so many ways, not just in real estate, but in everything else. Like so many shortcuts, and so many workarounds, and so many everyone is looking for the get rich quick. And then whatever silo you're in, whatever industry you're in, you look for the shortcut. Especially in sales, people are like, "Man, I just wanted to come to me." Me
too.
Sales me too. I would love that.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And when you're in a referral business, if you provide value and people recognize that, then the business will come to you.
Right.
You have to work at it. You have to tend it, just like what we're doing.
Yep.
Multiple lines and silos of marketing to make sure our people see us. Without being hopefully too intrusive. Our people see us, they recognize that we're experts, they enjoy the content that we're putting out and they consume it. And going down that path, it just makes for a much more organic, free flow, like warmer feel to it.
Well, here's the deal. You can't fake it. You cannot fake what you do. It's weird because I feel like I've dreamt this, actually. Isn't that strange? I'm having deja vu. Crazy.
Deja vu.
You cannot fake what you're doing because people will see it and recognize it for the most part.
Yeah.
Or eventually you'll be found out, right?
It
doesn't matter whether you're, what was the lady's name that ran Theranos?
Her.
Yeah, I'm glad I don't know her name.
Yeah, you've already erased
it's great.
it. Yeah,
you're gone.
It's gone.
But and I was just the Netflix special that's out right now. That's Finding Anna, and they're talking about how this woman who was in her late 20s, straight up, just like faked her way through high New York society and nearly got a $45 million loan with no background whatsoever. Whoa. Right. unbelievable to just create this vision she did for herself. But I see it everywhere.
Yeah.
And, I'll tell you a quick story. I have a new client that just came on, and she runs a school.
Mm-hmm.
Her concept is great, the things that she's doing, and she's clearly passionate about it. And that's kind of that has to be in play for me with a client, no matter what. And she had me go through and do an audit, which we often do prior to working with a client. And they were using her marketing dollars to be found for things like teacher plans, or what it means to be a teacher, and just like it was just this broad swath of terms that
anything related to education.
Anything. I mean, it was what's called an AdWords Express account.
Mm.
So if you wanted to go run AdWords, Google AdWords today, you can go on and Express says, what do you want to be found for? Where do you want to be found for it? How much money do you want to spend? And you can, in 5 minutes, be set up with an AdWords Express account. And as a business owner that may not know, you're like, awesome, I'm on Google. That's great.
Yeah.
And Google loves AdWords
right.
Express.
It's just free money. It's printing money.
Right. I mean, because you're going to now, as a real estate agent, homes for sale. You're going to pay $50 a click every single time that happens, right? As where with things that we do, you're paying 50, 60, 70 cents. And it'll create a conversion over to the site, and it's relevant, right?
Right.
And this, I just felt bad as we were working through it, because you could tell she was so frustrated.
Oh my gosh.
And had spent a decent amount of money. And she's just like, she said, I just want to stop wasting money.
Yeah.
And she didn't know that she was wasting money until we had the conversation that we had. But if there's any one thing that, like, over time that I can help from a legacy standpoint, that people look at it and say, this guy did this, it's helping people to stop wasting their money.
Yeah.
Whether they use us or not. Like, I just want to be able to be like, this is what's happening to you right now, and you don't even know it.
Right. Yeah. You have no idea, because you're, so often they're buying the canned approach again for the shortcut stuff,
Well, and I think,
or lack of knowledge, or you're doing onesie twosies. You're an entrepreneur. You don't know where to go. You need to be on Google. You need to be doing this stuff, and you just don't have the expertise and the advisors to point you in the right direction.
I don't know what it takes to sell a house, right? I mean, I know in concept everything, and I've sold and bought many homes over my lifetime. And do I understand the process? Do I know what goes into it? Yes. Has that been difficult? Dude, before I knew you, I just need to be clear, I used Open Door.
Oh my goodness.
Can I say their name?
Yeah, you did.
Dude, it was horrible. I mean, it was just, and it's not to say that everybody's going to have that experience,
right?
But the concept seemed awesome to me.
Right.
This is exactly what we're going to do, and that's it. They told us that we could stay for a couple of days after we had sold the house.
Yeah.
And then the day of closing, they said, oh, by the way, you have to be out today. And I was like, no. We have 3 days after closing. So now that the closing paperwork says today. I had to go move out of our house that night. And I was there until 5 a.m. getting everything out of the house in a moving truck without a mover. It was just me and my son and a couple of other people.
What a disaster.
Like you signed off. You're like, oh, okay, we're good now. Yeah. This is great.
Yeah.
By the way, you got to move all your stuff out tonight, and you're homeless for like 3 days, living with mom,
Living with you.
But the point of what I'm trying to make is that I think often people are unaware of certain components of things. And so where I saw like, oh, this is so much easier, and it's cheaper, and it's great, and it's wonderful, you've got the knowledge to understand. And I would never do a damn thing related to real estate unless we had a conversation.
Right. Well, and that's I think the knowledge to understand too, the progress over time is trial and error in all of it, right? Trial and error with selling real estate. Okay, I did that. That didn't work. I'm not going to do that again. I'm going to go to the expert in that. For me, with the marketing side of this thing and diving into how to successfully market a network-based real estate business. I mean, there are, again, 1,001 ways to spend money, 1,001 ways to approach it. A lot of out of the box, solutions that, I've had a bunch of websites built. I've had a bunch of things done. I've spent a lot of money on trial and error, and, there are ways, and I've talked about it before, and Brian North has talked about it where, you have a quote, a failing in your business, or something goes wrong, and it's like that wasn't a failure. That money isn't wasted. I'm paying tuition.
Yeah.
I learned. If you learn from it, it's paying tuition. And so like going through that, like the trial, okay, this doesn't work. Over the years, just coming to certain conclusions like, okay, I need a more consolidated approach to marketing. I need a more consolidated approach to buying and selling a house. Whatever.
Right. Well, but how often in that scenario, like when you're talking about paying tuition, do you need to discover what it is that went right or wrong to begin with? And the reason I'm saying that is that many people, I think, are paying tuition, but they're never getting the degree.
Well, they're paying tuition. That's right. They're paying tuition. They're not learning the lesson, and they repeat it. And it's like, I'll do this thing where like, if something gets screwed up, like, if something goes sideways, I'm like, if that burns, like I want to feel the burn just for a second because I want to lock it into my memory.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, cool, good, gone, right?
Yep.
Like I want to sear that thought. Like, okay, the next time something like that comes up, this is how it's going to go. This hurts. This sucks. Learn the lesson. Let it go.
Mm-hmm.
And like, so learning those lessons once, okay, that's a lesson I'm going to learn once. I'm not going to do that twice. If you keep relearning the same lessons, and people do this, and sometimes people think that that their misery gives them like a purpose. It almost feels good to feel bad. Those people where it's
Absolutely.
where it's like they just want to wallow in it.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It's like, dude, it's self-prophecy. If you raise your head up and all you see are bad things, you're only going to see bad things. If you raise your head up and you see good and you want the best in people and you want the best from people, then you are going to see good in almost everything that you do.
Yeah. It's one of my good friends is a pastor, and he says, if everything around you sucks, what's the one common denominator?
Totally.
And it's fascinating to me that people won't look inward into what is causing the misery in their life. And I don't know if they like it or not. It's an interesting thing, because there's a scenario that played out today where I'm working through someone who just is creating misery for himself in a lot of different cases. Somebody and working through scenarios where it's everybody else's fault all the time.
Yep.
And he's the victim.
Right.
And that is making everybody else's life miserable.
Yeah.
And how do you broach that subject to really get to the point where somebody will realize it,
Well, and is it your responsibility?
In this case, it is.
Yeah, probably because client and friend. Yeah. We'll take this one offline. But that's, to your point, maybe it isn't that they enjoy being miserable. Maybe it is, that when you reconcile the stuff that like, if you peel it apart and you figure out what it really is, it's making you sad or whatever. Now you're faced with, okay, well, I now know, do I do anything about it? And I think a lot of people don't know what to do about it, so they prefer not know, so they don't have to do anything about it.
Well, acknowledging that it's you is extremely painful.
Yeah.
Right? Like being able to look at yourself.
Yeah. I
remember a scenario where I was living in Nashville. My kids had moved away. I had just gotten divorced. I had just finished out a horrific experience in running a music company that I had.
It's so fascinating that you did that.
And well, I mean, it was a good example of failure and learning from it, right?
Yep.
And the date that I earned that particular degree, where I got my bachelor's in failure, was I was looking down and just said to myself, I'm creating my own problem and misery. I need to get home. And when I thought of home's at that time was Colorado. Packed up all my stuff. I held a garage sale the next day. Packed up all my stuff, put a for sale house on the sign, or sign on the house, and walked out of the house, got into my truck, and drove back to Colorado.
Dude, that
3 days.
That's crazy.
Yep, out. I was like, I can't. I have to get into a scenario now. There's just so much here, and I'm the one that has created so much of this for myself. I've got to go focus on being a father, a son, a businessman, and getting myself back into a positive scenario.
Well, and you probably realize if I don't do it like right now, I'll find excuses not to do it.
It was such misery, dude.
Oh man, that's crazy that quickly you were like decision, action, gone.
Yeah. And now, I mean, for the most part, I will follow that type of piece. If I learn a piece of information and it's something that hurts me, I'm going to move pretty quick to get it resolved.
Right.
Last night, I'm sitting there and I'm looking through some components of the business, and there were some things that were out of whack. If I don't fix it, then I don't go to bed.
Right. Right. Yeah. Sending the emails right then or whatever, or working through it. That is the case. And I think you learn, and that was one of the things that I really took away from coaching with Zanzibar, was the idea that you correct non-performance immediately. And it makes it so much easier. Like there have been times where one of us will like send a text or do something or whatever, and then we'll come back either with a call or whatever, like, hey dude, I need you to know I didn't mean that. Like, I saw what I wrote or whatever. You please understand I'm not meaning this, I mean this. Right. Because it's instantly, we recognize that what we did or how it could be interpreted is wrong. And that's at correcting the non-performance. It applies to both you and it applies to other people. So like if we get sideways, if we address it right now, it's straightened out.
Yeah.
If I'm in a conversation and something, I hear something that I don't like, I'll let him finish, but I'll go back to it. Like, hey, what did you mean by that? Or what, explain that further.
Yeah.
Right. And then you get to the bottom, and then there's no passive aggressive. There's nothing left on the table. You've cleared it out, and you can move on and move forward and create deeper, better relationships.
Well, and how much better does it feel, again, to put your head down at night and you're not holding anything back?
Yeah.
Like, there's a sleep issue in this country. And I think a lot of it is that, despite, I won't get into a religious component of this, but I think that human beings overall want to do good things, right? When you donate to your favorite charity, or you go out and you work a day for somebody else to make their lives better, there's something that inherently feels good about that, right? But when you're not dealing with your own issues internally, or you're not helping your clients the way that you need to, or you're not positioning yourself the way that you should, I think there's a component where just our biology, our physiology, it's hard for us to live with ourselves. And I've seen a lot of really, really wealthy, miserable people.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Tons of money.
Yep.
Have done everything that they can to run a business, not always great businesses, but businesses that are profitable. But man, are they miserable. I would rather be happy and with no money than to have a ton of money and absolutely miserable.
Well, it's funny because, when I was thinking about the first part of that, I was thinking so many people are miserable because they haven't taken control of whatever it is in front of them.
Yeah.
But then you look at some of those wealthy people who run businesses, like they're in control. So, what creates the misery? Maybe they've built a machine that's too big, that they feel like they have to continue to do. There's always those people. It's like, well, I can't stop.
Right. You can't stop. You have this thing that's making money, but is money what makes you happy?
Right.
Mel and I just went on a vacation, and I thought about this for a long time in our relationship because, when we first got together, she had to take on 2 kids. And I know that you and Beth have had that similar scenario, and they became our kids. Right. And so we have not been able to really go spend a lot of one-on-one time as it relates to that. So a month ago, we went on our first big vacation since we got married, like just the two of us.
And how long has that been?
13 years.
It's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, it was just like, it was that wild week of us just spending quality time together.
Yeah.
And us sitting out in Maui and looking out. And I said to, Mel, we made it. We are doing what fulfill, like, this is where my happy place is. And obviously you have to make money to do that.
Yeah.
But I don't have to make 50 million to do that.
Right.
And a Porsche 911 is not going to make me happier than that moment and having that memory, because you can't take any of that crap with you. Those memories will be with you until you're dead,
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. Like, if you go gather all the acorns and all you do is spend your time gathering acorns, and then you die, you got a big stack of acorns, but like, what was the experience like?
Right.
We always talk about it in our family, and it's in the vision statement of the business. Like, you hear it every 2 weeks when we read it at the beginning of our marketing meetings. We want to seek and create adventure in everything we do as a family. For us, it's not about buying the nicest things. Like, sure, we like nice stuff.
Sure.
But like, I'm not the one chasing the huge house. I'm not doing all of the, driving the newest, fanciest cars, and nothing wrong with that. It's just not my thing. Or buying expensive things. We would rather put money into experiences and put money into trying to like create some security But like I want my kids to have fun. I want them to see things. It doesn't have to be extravagant, right? We don't have to like, fly off to Austria. Family of 6. Don't know if that's ever happening, but like, we'll put your ass in a motorhome. We'll drive around, right? Like,
we got to keep working on that luxury property.
Yeah, exactly. More in PV, please. But being able to create adventure in everything we do and make sure that the kids see quality in doing things and not just stuff. And like, listen, kids are kids, and at 13 and 10, which is how old the girls are, there's always materialism, and there's always, we want the latest thing, and there's some of that, but I think focusing on those memories that are going to be with you for the rest of your life, and being able to sit there and go, yeah, we've made it. That's pretty cool. I haven't had a moment like that.
It was definitely, and you guys have had, you guys have I don't know, is it still you say newborn?
I don't, I would literally.
You can say infant.
An infant, I get, he's 9 weeks. Is that a newborn?
I don't know.
I was thinking about that last night or the night before.
Look that up.
I almost asked Beth.
Is it still, is he still a newborn?
Is it still a newborn?
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. But anyways, yeah, he's a little guy. Little Mikey, yeah.
But you guys are creating all these wonderful new memories and experiences. And then, 18 years from now, you guys get to sit back and enjoy it, right?
Well, dude, I mean, you and I, we talk family and exchange texts, and you shot me a text of, Jackson the other night, and you're like, dude, he's a man.
It is weird for me. I've got to tell you, like, what's weird is that I almost time warped from the time that he was born until now. Like, I have a feeling we'll be friends until one of us is gone, right?
Yeah.
And I think that, when the last one leaves the nest at 18 and goes off to do whatever it is that they're doing, I'm going to be right there. I'm going to say, remember when we were sitting having the podcast?
Yeah.
And you'll be like, it was like yesterday. I guarantee you will.
Dude, it's so crazy. What's the saying? It's like I don't know, days go by slow, years go by fast, or something like that.
Yeah.
I think both of them are going fast, but
the older I get, you hear it from your parents and everything else, but you remember when you had a summer vacation as a kid.
Yeah.
You're like, this is like forever. This is great.
It feels like months and months and months.
And now it felt like years compared to now.
Dude, it's like 6 weeks or something. It doesn't even say, it's like.
It's March, dude.
It's
in 2022.
The concept of like, days going slow and all that, whatever that saying is, I probably mangled it, but that doesn't even seem real. Everything goes by fast. Weeks go by fast.
Yeah.
Like, I will look at a calendar, I will look at the work calendar and be like, oh my gosh, it's already Wednesday, or is it Friday? Like, are you kidding me? Where does it go? And it just leapfrogs. And yeah, you turn around, your kids are moving out of the house, or getting bigger, or trying new things, or getting their driver's license. I mean, we have all these. What's fun is like, I love having the cascade of kids, the age ranges, like 13, 10, 3, and newborn infant baby, whatever it is.
We'll say newborn.
Newborn. So, having that, like, I feel like I've got this long runway, but like, really, it's like, as soon as Hannah leaves the house, man, 25% of them are gone.
Right.
It's like, whoa, like chunks so quickly. I don't know. I just I love it so much. I love, this adventure, and I love finding good people to go on this adventure with, and like adding, like, you guys have added so much to our lives. You've added people to our lives, right? Like you introduced me to Renee, and like, that's been such a fun relationship. Like, dude's a nut, and it's just great. And Marlene and Mel, and like all, like, being able to have couples that you can go and have fun with. Like, the 4 of us did Vegas, and that was awesome. What was that, 2 nights? It wasn't even that long. Was it 1 night?
No, it was 2 nights.
2 nights.
Yeah.
And
I wonder if the Birdman is still there.
Dude.
I will never, for the rest of my life, move away from Melissa's like, you're crazy.
Tell that.
So we were staying at the top of Aria. I'm sorry, the property that's across the street. Vidara. Yeah. So we're at the top, very top, and
Joel Coen penthouse suite.
Yeah, we're sitting there, and as you and Beth are facing me, and I think Melissa may have been sitting side of you as well. We had some drinks, but nothing too crazy.
No, we were all having conversation. We were all just like, end of the night, let's hang out, have a nightcap, and just chat.
Yeah, it was like 2 a.m.
Yeah,
and this giant creature, like bird, just wings, is all I see. just kind of go up the top of the aria, which is directly across from us, and into the roof. And I'm like, there was literally a giant bird that just went through there. And Beth's like, I saw it out of the corner of my eye.
Yeah, she saw the motion.
And so now I'm like, oh, what did I see?
Dude, what did you see? I wonder.
To this day, I'm like, was it a condor or something? Like, it would have to be something.
A pterodactyl, the one.
Yeah.
They're bringing them back. Science is bringing pterodactyls back.
Or I'm literally losing my mind, which definitely
could be. Well, that was, a year ago. You'd be way crazier now.
Yeah.
It was about a year ago, I think.
That's a little more than that, my friend.
That's crazy. Time flies.
Think about it. When you told me that Beth was pregnant, that was like yesterday.
Dude, we were talking about that. You and I were talking about that recently. That was almost a year ago.
Yeah.
It was April of last year.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Time flies, and our time has flown on this podcast. Yep. And Joel, if you would, just let us know if people want to look you up, where can they find you?
TrueNorth-advisors.com is probably the best place just to get a breakdown. And then if anybody's interested, just hit me on LinkedIn. Like, that is the virtual business card for me in so many different cases where you can check out things that I've done, learn a little bit more about me. I love that platform for communicating.
I love it. Perfect. Yeah. Contact Joel if you need any digital content stuff, or if you just want a friend.
Yeah. Depends on who it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Thank you so much for coming in, man.
You bet.
It's been great. I love talking. I love getting loose with you. We always talk about, business, family, fun, adventure, creating adventure in life. And I think this was exactly what we did, man. So thanks for coming in.
Always love it.